Many stories circulate about the Terran human marine units, words whispered across star systems and among species that fear their relentless might. They are a force of nature, brutal, disciplined, and appearing as though they are everywhere at once. Wherever Terran interests stretch, their marines follow like shadows, ready to strike. Every species across the stars has come to recognize their formidable armored figures, treading carefully wherever they land. They are the steel backbone of the united Terran forces, efficient, powerful, and capable of deploying with astounding speed to any location within days. Their battles unfold in crushing gravity wells, chaotic orbital debris fields, entrenched lines on jungle moons, and scorched deserts on nameless worlds. They are war made flesh, fear incarnate. Yet for every thunderous, traumatic deployment, there exists another, quieter kind of fear. A dread of something much more sinister. Not of their marines, but of Terran special operations. This branch is shrouded in secrecy, so clandestine that half of it doesn't officially exist. These operatives are lethal, untraceable, and utterly committed, functioning as the unseen blaze that slides through the chaos before the war cry is heard. Unlike their boisterous armoured brethren, Special Ops infiltrate far ahead of any conflict. No fanfare, no flags, no protective gear. No mercy. They blend seamlessly into the fabric of life, slipping in during meteor showers, hiding among refugee caravans, or sometimes even taking jobs in your world, in your city, or perhaps even within the confines of your own home. I learned this the hard way. It began with what I thought was a routine inspection. I was assigned security detail for one of our shield reactor cores, an essential piece of infrastructure crucial for our safety, yet hardly thrilling. The kind of job you could do while daydreaming. Check-ins, ID verifications, camera sweeps, and a monotonous review of system logs. This shield powered half of the defensive grid protecting our bustling capital city. We had a mechanic on loan from the Terrans. Described as a diplomatic gesture, it was part of a grander scheme of shared technology protocols and supposed interstellar cooperation. He kept to himself, always punctual with an intensity that sat just beneath the surface of his polite demeanour. Harmless, or so I believed. But that day I noticed him where he shouldn't be, deep within the shield's auxiliary power sector. Alone. No authorization log marked his presence. No escort accompanied him. Curiosity piqued, I approached, expecting merely an awkward explanation or perhaps a sheepish apology. Instead, I was met with the cold steel of a knife pressed against my throat. "If you make a sound," he hissed, his voice flat and devoid of emotion, "you die." The finality in his tone sent icy tendrils of fear snaking through me. My body froze. I had faced criminals, saboteurs, and even mercenaries in my career, but this was a different beast. He wasn't trying to intimidate. He was terrifying. Every movement was precise and deliberate. A predator confident in his hunt. He propelled me toward the security control room with an air of practiced ease, as if he had executed this maneuver countless times before. As we neared the door, he issued a simple command. "Knock. Say nothing. Don't try anything. I will kill them before they can reach for their weapons." I knocked, my knuckles rapping against the cold metal, heart racing in my chest. The door swung open. He shoved me forward, and I stumbled into the grasp of my bewildered colleague, who caught me just as confusion flickered in their eyes. Before he could grasp the unfolding situation, the Terran struck. In an instant, chaos erupted. A flurry of motion and gunfire transformed the orderly control room into a horrific tableau of violence, splattered in crimson. The others were dead. Quick, efficient shots to center mass. Not a single life spared. My co-worker and I stood frozen, hands raised instinctively in surrender, our minds racing to comprehend the nightmare unfolding before us. The Terran appeared unfazed, a statue carved from ice. He turned his weapon toward us, his eyes as cold and unfeeling as steel. "Ladies," he said, nodding slightly in acknowledgement. "I apologize for the mess. This is not personal. My orders are to deactivate the planetary shield. A war has been declared. Invasion forces are en route." I stared at him, disbelief washing over me, my voice barely a whisper as I croaked, "Why? Who are you? I hired you. You're a mechanic, a technician." He looked at me, his head tilting slightly as if he were assessing the gravity of our situation. "And that's exactly what I am. I spent 8 months repairing reactors, meticulously attending safety drills and adhering to demanding shift schedules. I've come to know your systems better than most locals." With that, he turned toward the gleaming console, his fingers dancing across the controls with practiced precision. All part of the job. "That's not an answer," I growled, frustration rising in my chest. "You're a damn spy! A murderer!" He stood unfazed, his expression as cold as steel. "I'm a Terran Special Operations Operative. You're not my target. I don't kill unless it's necessary." He gestured dismissively to the lifeless bodies strewn around us. They pulled their weapons. They made it necessary. Kalen, trembling beside me, gathered enough courage to speak. "You said a war's coming. Who started it?" The Terran hesitated for a heartbeat, his gaze distant as if weighing the consequences of his revelation. "You did," he finally replied, his tone unwavering. "Not you, personally. Your High Council. 5 weeks ago, your government signed a memorandum putting us on the path to war. They thought we wouldn't notice, but we did." He turned back to the console, his fingers once again flying over the keys. "That decision sent alarm bells ringing through Terran Command. They authorized a first strike protocol." Suddenly, the terminal beeped, and glaring warning lights flared to life, their ominous red reflecting off his face. The shield grid began to collapse in real time, the hum of the technology around us growing more frantic. Instinctively, I stepped forward, adrenaline coursing through my veins. Without looking back, he raised his weapon, its sleek barrel pointed directly at me. "Don't." "You're dooming millions!" I shouted, my voice thick with desperation. "No," he replied, his tone chillingly calm. "Your government did that. I'm just the scalpel that performs the first cut." He finished typing and stood still for a moment, as if attuned to something beyond the chaos. Then, with deliberate ease, he walked toward the exit. "I suggest you find an underground shelter," he said without glancing back, his voice flat and devoid of emotion. "You might survive the initial bombardment. Maybe, if you're lucky." The heavy door hissed open, an eerie sound reverberating in the tense air. "Wait!" I shouted, the words spilling from my lips in a rush. "What are you? A machine? A man? How can you do this without feeling anything?" He paused at the threshold, a shadow passing over his features as he turned to meet my gaze. In that fleeting moment I saw something in his eyes. Not regret, not guilt, but an overwhelming weariness, as if he had long ago grappled with the weight of his choices. "I feel plenty," he said quietly, his voice carrying the burden of unspoken truths. "But I don't let my feelings stop me from doing what needs to be done." And just like that, he vanished down the corridor, leaving me alone in the heart of the brink storm. 10 minutes later, the first orbital strikes began, a thunderous roar that shook the very ground beneath my feet. I survived. My coworker didn't. I share this story not to glorify the Terrans or to make excuses for their actions. I tell it because people still fail to grasp the true nature of the threat they face. They picture Terran Marines as the primary danger, the mighty hammer, the deafening noise. But the haunting truth is, if you're hearing the Terrans, it's already far too late. The real war begins with those you never see, the quiet ones you hired, the colleagues you laughed with over lunch, the individuals who know your security codes and share your mess hall meals. They are the ones who have already claimed victory, before you ever realized a fight had begun.